Hi, welcome to Creating Connection. I think I could probably call this season 3. We've had some stops and starts with podcasting, and I'm looking forward to diving back in over 2023 and combining YouTube videos with podcasts, as well as writing. And the reason why I like embracing the 3 different types when I can is that people like to learn in different ways. Sometimes I will just devour podcasts. Other times I want to read a transcript or a text, and other times I'm happy to watch videos, particularly when I'm doing dishes, watching with some captions underneath. So by using all 3 forms, I'm creating a space where I'm meeting you where it's most convenient for you. And what better way to dive into the new year than to look at what might be happening with our New Year's resolutions. If you're like a lot of people, you have made some resolutions, some statements, some commitment to creating a healthy habit, to improving your lifestyle in some way, whether it's reducing alcohol, getting fitter, losing weight, eating more vegetables, drinking more water. There's a multitude of healthy habits that we can choose from. And then if you're like most people, you start off strong and then fall in a bit of a heap. And it's not your fault. We're going to look at today 5 myths around creating habits and talk a little bit about the starting point, the place that you need to start and consolidate to make the habits stick, and using a little bit of my story of what's happened over the last few years for me. Before we start, I would like to give a disclaimer. The advice in this podcast is not meant to replace therapy at all. It is not individual advice. It is general in nature. Things I share about me relate to me. Does not mean that they're going to work for you. The evidence-based strategies that I use are proven. Also doesn't mean they're going to work for you. They need to be taken on board in the context of your life, your resources, and everything else about you. If you have a diagnosed or self-diagnosed eating disorder or body difficulties of any sort, perhaps this is a session you would like to skip. I'm no way trying to get involved in a diet culture. We have a lot of problems with how we portray health and weight in our society, and I want to be very careful about how we tiptoe around these things and acknowledge the real pain and suffering that lots of you may have experienced while trying to improve your health in various ways. So having stated that, as I said, you may or may not choose to keep listening. It is entirely up to you. Please take on board my words in the spirit that they're intended. Okay? So let's start with a reason why your resolutions may not be working out for you, or why every time you've tried to create something healthier in your life that you're getting stuck in the habits. We'll start with 5. 5 myths that we can just kind of bust right from the get-go. And the first one about those is it takes 21 days to make a habit. So you've probably heard that thrown around. Well, it's wrong. It's wrong. What we know is, depending on the complexity of the habit and your individual circumstances, it might be shorter than 3 weeks, or it could take up to a year. And you might not be able to do it by yourself. You might need structured support around that. Okay? So no, it's not, 3 weeks or a month. It's been a month since I've started my New Year's resolutions. How come this is still so hard? Well, there are lots of reasons. It is okay. It is not your failure that this habit has not consolidated after 3 weeks. So that's myth number 1. Myth number 2, you're getting rid of your old habits. You're going to stop them. They're gone. You've thrown them away, disposed of them. Bring on the new. Doesn't quite work like that. what happens is when you create new habits, new ways of doing things, you create new pathways in your brain. And they may follow a similar trail in your brain to the old one, but they're not the same. It's not the same path, and it doesn't dissolve it and write over it and get rid of it altogether. What it does, it's like creates a competing pathway, and the more you do the new one and the less you do the old one, the more you're going to go to your new one. Like you're going to strengthen this over time. But in times of stress, your brain will just automatically default to the old patterns, to your old habits, until the new ones become so strong and so ingrained that they become the default. All right, so you don't get rid of old habits, you create new ones. Third, you just need more motivation. Seriously, no. Motivation can be really strong to get change happening. It helps provide your why and tapping into your why. I want to do this. Really want to do this. I have sound reasons. I want to be able to, run 5Ks. I want to be able to go for a walk with my partner and not be exhausted after 10 kilometers. I want to do this for my health. The doctor said I need to do this. So, strong motivation doesn't give you the how. So it might be enough to, get you started on the path, but it is not enough. And you don't need more motivation. You need better understanding of strategies of the how. The fourth myth we want to stop is that failing at something, not achieving your goal, means you aren't capable of meeting it and that you're lacking motivation. No. Failing at something is part of the behaviour change cycle. We expect it. Right? It helps us learn. It helps us improve the strategies of what we've been doing. And as we talked about, the old habits are still there in times of stress. So failure is normal. Failure is going back to our old ways. Failure just means we haven't strengthened these pathways enough yet. That's all it means. All right? And we're going to get to that, if not in this podcast session, another session coming up, a little more about how to tap into that and what that means. But let's look at the fifth myth, and that rhymes, that we're going to bust today, which is about if you tell yourself you can do something and you tell yourself often enough, it's going to happen. You're going to do it. Just if you find the right affirmation, the right motivational words. Right? If you believe it, you can do it. Just keep up that self-talk. Keep telling yourself that it'll be okay, that it'll work out, that you've got this. Nope. The danger of positive affirmations, which is what we're talking about, is that they breed a toxic positivity. They're not allowing reality. Now, an affirmation is a statement of truth. When you affirm something, you're saying out loud that this is what I believe in, this is what I know to be true. If this doesn't match how you feel about yourself and how you think about yourself, it creates what we call just like a cognitive dissonance. It's an inner turmoil. It's like this battle. Clients often talk to me about hearing opposing voices in terms of one part of their mind saying, that's not what you want to do. That's not the right thing to do. And the other part is, let's do this. This is so much fun. And I'm sure you've experienced the same. It's like, the two voices sitting on your shoulder and you're having this ping pong match inside your head. There's constant motion of energy. You're expanding a lot of energy on having an internal dialogue. So when you're positively affirming something that you don't really think or believe or that you doubt, you just, you're creating more of this inner turmoil. Right? So, positive affirmations, no. You don't need more of them to make it work. So if motivation and pep talks don't work, what does? Where do we start? Well, we start from a base of awareness and acceptance. Knowing where you are, what you're currently experiencing, and thinking and feeling about something, that's what helps you recenter. That's what helps you connect with yourself, and that's what helps you ground these resolutions. So creating and sustaining a new habit, it's like driving a car. You kind of know where you want to go, but you've got to get there. And, if you've ever been driving and you've come across roadworks, constantly around where I am, we have to reroute and redirect because we can't go a particular way. Or there's been an accident and the road's closed. There's a hazard, the road's flooded. There's always things that come up on the road. So you have to redirect, recenter, reevaluate. Be very aware of what's going on and going on around you. And that's what it's like with a habit. This is what we want to achieve. Where are we? What's going on? What's getting in the way? How do we redirect and refocus and come back to what's happening for us? Because let's face it, with the best will in the world, with the clearest plans and directions and goals, it's hard and complex. Running a family, looking after yourself, managing a small business. It's it's not easy, and it's not often you get that smooth road with no obstacles, no stop signs, no pedestrians and other cars doing silly things. You're human. Things get in the way. COVID lockdowns, health of your family, urgent, unexpected priorities, all these things. So a few years ago, I think I was at my most unhealthiest, and I knew it was time to recenter and redirect and to go back to healthy habits, right? To find those again and to make them prominent in my life. But I didn't do that by beating myself up, by criticizing myself. I had to do it through awareness and acceptance of what was actually going on for me at that time. So that's where you start, accepting yourself for who you are, what you think, and how you're feeling right at the moment. That's where you start. That allows you to access the calm dynamic, to stop that pushing and pulling and batting to and fro of the voices in your head, and have what you're saying meet and connect and be congruent with what you're feeling inside. All right. I want to give you just a real personal example of this, and it was to do with how I was feeling about my body. And I was carrying fat. I was very heavy compared to where I've been in my life for a variety of reasons. But denying that, or saying, calling myself names or criticizing myself for how I looked, was not the way to go. What I did as part of the turnaround was be able to look at myself and go, okay, yes, I'm feeling fat, I'm thinking that I'm fat, and isn't it amazing that my body still moves me from A to B without me even thinking about it? Isn't it amazing that this body gave birth? So I'm still thinking and experiencing what it was like to be unhealthy, and I was thinking about how I really thought about my body and the good it had done to me. So I was practicing some self-love there with this self-awareness, but it was very sincere. It was based on not me looking at myself and going, oh, you're so gorgeous. You're such a glamour model. It was based on, yeah, you're looking fat And your body is amazing. Totally congruent. It was something I believed in. So that's why when I talk about what strategies work for you, I can't tell you what you're going to think and feel, but I can recommend unreservedly the power of accepting what you're thinking and feeling at the time. So an easy way to do that, an easy way to get started, you can journal. Journaling's wonderful. You can start with a little bit of stream of consciousness. How do I feel about my health? You're the only one looking at it. So you can be honest. And once you have those sentences out, you can go, okay, this is what I'm thinking. And that part of that awareness is being able to say, okay, I am thinking this. I'm feeling this. And seeing how that sits with you. Go, all right. Okay. That sits. That's real. That's authentic. And then think about what's going on in your mind when you say that. What other voices are popping up? And notice those as well. Okay. I'm thinking this, and I'm feeling this, and I'm thinking this. So this goes back to how do we create new habits? Once you've identified the habits, be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself about the habit. What is your experience of that? What does it mean to you? And that is the basis that then you can move forward on to sustaining that. So there's a lot of other things that go into creating habits, but if you don't start from that space of awareness and congruent awareness, then the rest is like, there's no foundation, there's no substance. You can't paper over that with a positive affirmation. You can't paper over that with more motivation either. It isn't going to work. It isn't going to help. The road through is awareness, acceptance, self-love, or self-compassion. There you go. We have busted some myths. We've talked a little bit about awareness, and I'd love to know what you think. Does this make sense to you? What's your experience? What's helped you when you've been looking at creating habits and then sustaining those habits? Okay. Thanks for listening or watching or reading, however you're doing this. And I look forward to talking to you when this comes out, when the next one comes out, which might be in a week, it might be in a couple of weeks. We'll see how we go. And I will talk to you then. And you're always very, very welcome to subscribe to the podcast. You are welcome to send me in a question that I can answer. That's always fun. And I will read your email if it comes in then. Okay. You can contact me. You can find me in all the usual places, but I do love hanging out on LinkedIn. You'll find me under Kim Ross. My picture's there, so you can see me, and we can connect there. That would be fun. All right, I'm going to sign off now because I have suddenly found myself rambling, and I need to go. All right, okay, bye guys.